What up, fam? It's your girl Rochelle Madam, Big Age Energy, coming at you with another episode of Let Me Tell You Something, babe. So I'm coming on a real serious tip this time because some of my deepest healing I ever had to do came from wounds that never got acknowledged. And if I'm being really honest, I spent a lot of time waiting on people who knew they hurt me, waiting on them to apologize. I mean, just to call me, to show up, to own it. And when they didn't, I started to believe that maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was being too sensitive. Maybe it wasn't as bad as it felt. Maybe I was just overreacting. But let me tell you a quick story. Years ago, I had someone in my life I loved like family. I showed up for them. I prayed for them. I defended them. And when I went through one of the hardest seasons of my life, they disappeared. Not only did they disappear, they started repeating things I told them in confidence. They didn't check on me. They didn't care how it landed. And I mean, really, I was devastated. I kept waiting for that phone call. I just knew at some point they'd say, you know what? I'm sorry, I was wrong. But babe, listen, that phone never rang. And it took me a long time to understand this. Some people will never apologize. Not because they're unaware, but because your pain confronts the version of themselves they're trying to protect. Let me unpack that. They know they hurt you. They're just not strong enough to face who they were when they did it. Because if they admit they were wrong, then they gotta let go of the lie they've been telling themselves. That since they didn't mean it, and it wasn't that bad, we're better off with nothing being said. And some folks would rather lose you than lose their illusion. So no, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're just dealing with somebody who's more committed to their image than your truth. And that's not your burden to carry anymore. So let me ask you something. What do you do when the apology doesn't come? What do you do when closure ain't an option? I'll tell you what I had to do. I had to grieve what I hoped would happen and bless myself with the healing I thought they would bring. I had to release them, not for their sake, but for mine. Because waiting on an apology was robbing me of my peace. And let me tell you something, babe. You don't need permission to heal. You don't need an I'm sorry to rise. You don't need closure to close the door. I know it stings. I know you didn't deserve it. I know you gave grace, patience, love, and they gave you silence or slander. But here's your word today. You are allowed to move forward without their understanding. You are allowed to forgive and still never speak again. You are allowed to be whole even if the apology never comes. Let me get an amen in the comments if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Drop a heart if you've ever waited on an apology that never came. And drop a star if you're choosing your peace anyway. Because this is healing season, not the waiting season. And your joy deserves to breathe, even if they never say sorry. You don't need them to validate your pain. And if nobody ever says, I'm sorry for what I did to you, then let me be the one to say it. I'm sorry you were hurt. I'm sorry they didn't show up. I'm sorry your loyalty was mishandled. But guess what, babe? Their silence didn't stop your healing. Their denial didn't delay your destiny. And your peace was never theirs to give. You don't need their apology to close the chapter. You are the closure, period. I'm Rochelle. This is another episode of Let Me Tell You Something, babe. Now, go be free and don't look back.